a race against the flames.
Go, 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 go.
Wildfires turn deadly in the Great Smoky Mountains. Thousands run, hotels and homes burn.
This is a fire for the history books.
Also tonight, a soccer team's Cinderella story ends in tragedy. Dozens were killed when their jet went down, but there were survivors. Donald Trump makes more cabinet picks, including the man who intends to blow up Obamacare. And why would they put a mop bucket in a museum?
It seems like the proverbial drop in a bucket to do it once, but when you do it, 17 million times, it really has an impact.
This is the CBS Evening News with Scott Pelley.
Good evening. Scott is off tonight. I'm Norah O'Donnell, and this is our Western edition. The worst fire to hit Tennessee in 100 years has killed at least 3 people and sent more than a dozen to the hospital. 14,000 fled as a wall of flames closed in on Gatlinburg. One resort was destroyed. The Dollywood theme park, named for Dolly Parton, was spared. DeMarco Morgan is in Tennessee.
Hit the gas, hit the gas.
You're watching cell phone video taken by 2 brothers as they escaped from a vacation resort area in the mountains of Gatlinburg, Tennessee. They say they had no warning as the wall of flames surrounded them last night, and their only choice was to ride through it or die.
Please, Lord, let us get off this mountain.
By early evening, wind speeds suddenly doubled, turning into hurricane-force winds that topped 87 miles per hour. Fires quickly spread in this drought-stricken area when burning embers flew and toppled trees ripped down power lines.
This is so close to the resort.
This community is at the edge of Great Smoky Mountains National Park, the most visited national park in the country.
The smoke is really bad in here.
Logan Baker was at the Vista Hilton Hotel when flames came right up to the building.
They're keeping us in here for now.
Bruce Wilson is the Sullivan County Fire Chief. What is it like to actually be there?
It's horrible. It's devastating to, all those people lost their homes and businesses and everything else. Things they've worked hard for.
This is what's left. More than 100 businesses and homes were destroyed. Just take a look at this. It was once an apartment building. Neighborhoods were left in smoking cinders. At this Red Cross shelter, more than 1,000 showed up, anxiously waiting to see what's left. Greg Lanham and his family escaped with their pets and the clothes on their backs.
Possessions are possessions. As long as I've got my family, that's all that matters, man, really.
Nora, unfortunately, dozens of families will be returning to places like this behind me, this home that was completely destroyed. But firefighters may get some help tonight as heavy rains and thunderstorms are expected.
Let's hope for that rain. DeMarco Morgan, thank you so much. Now to the tragedy in South America. A soccer team that had won the hearts of Brazil was on its way last night to play for its first championship. But the chartered plane crashed in the mountains of Colombia. 71 were killed. Here's Anna Werner.
Video taken after the crash showed little remained of the jet. Workers carried body bags over hilly terrain. The pilots requested a priority landing at 15,000 feet while flying over a mountainous area of Colombia in poor weather. The plane was carrying most members of a Brazilian soccer team as well as 20 journalists, flying from Bolivia to Medellin. 6 people survived. This morning, the soccer club's vice president said, for a tragedy like this to happen, it is very difficult. The sadness is great, but we will have faith in God. The Chapecoense Real soccer team represented a Cinderella story in Brazil, a team that rose from the minor leagues to make it into this year's Pseudo-America Championship finals. Video posted to Facebook Live on Monday showed team members checking in for the flight, and some seated on board the plane minutes before taking off. It's gonna start, player Felipe Machado said. The trip to Colombia is going to begin. Another player seen in video yesterday, Elio Zampier Neto, was one of only 3 players to survive the crash. A photo making the rounds on social media today appears to show a few team members who did not go on the trip. And on the team's Twitter page was this, with the heading, Let this be the last image of our warriors. 3 players, a journalist, and 2 crew members survived. In a tribute to the players who died, the Colombian team that was set to face them in play on Wednesday has asked that the Brazilian team, Nora, be declared tournament champion.
Wow. Anna Warner, thank you very much. Late today, President-elect Trump settled on 4 more cabinet picks. Major Garrett is covering the Trump transition.
CBS News has confirmed that Hollywood financier Steve Mnuchin will be President-elect Donald Trump's nominee for Treasury Secretary. Mnuchin was candidate Trump's finance chairman, but has also donated to Democrats in the past. This will be Mnuchin's first government position. The president-elect also intends to nominate billionaire businessman Wilbur Ross to lead the Commerce Department.
This is a system that's not working for the American people.
Mr. Trump's pick to lead the Department of Health and Human Services is a leading congressional critic of Obamacare. Georgia Congressman Tom Price was an early Trump supporter and drafted the most comprehensive alternative to the Affordable Care Act.
We want a system that's affordable for everybody, that's accessible for everybody, that's of the highest quality, and provides choices for patients.
Price's plan would abolish the expansion of Medicaid under Obamacare that has provided insurance coverage to 15 million Americans. Price would also roll back guaranteed coverage for patients with pre-existing medical conditions. He would use tax credits and promote health savings accounts to help Americans purchase insurance. The president-elect also named Elaine Chao as Transportation Secretary. Chao served 8 years as Labor Secretary under President George W. Bush and is married,
the love of my life, your Senator Mitch McConnell,
to Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell. For Secretary of State, Mr. Trump continues to deliberate among Mitt Romney, retired General David Petraeus, and Rudy Giuliani. Senate Foreign Relations Committee Chairman Bob Corker was also at Trump Tower today. The president-elect is dining tonight with Mitt Romney, their second meeting in as many weeks. The president-elect also took to Twitter this morning to denounce burning of the American flag and said it warranted prison sentences and revocation of citizenship. Nora, the Supreme Court ruled in 1989 that flag burning was symbolic, protected free speech.
All right, Major Garrett, thank you so much. Tonight, there is growing evidence that the Somali-born student behind yesterday's car and knife attack at The Ohio State University was inspired by terrorists. 11 people were injured before a police officer killed the attacker. Dean Reynolds is in Columbus.
Hours before his rampage, Abdul Razak Ali Artan went on Facebook to praise radical Muslim cleric Anwar al-Awlaki, whose sermons still inspire attacks, even though he was killed by a U.S. drone 5 years ago. Saying he had reached a boiling point, Artan wrote, "I am sick and tired of seeing my fellow Muslim brothers and sisters being killed and tortured everywhere. I can't take it anymore. I am willing to kill 1 billion infidels for a single disabled Muslim." One of his victims yesterday, Iraq veteran and current OSU senior Anderson Payne, was trying to help car crash victims when he was slashed.
When I initially saw him, I thought he was just angry because he had just wrecked his car. But then when I saw him starting to swing and I saw the knife, I knew it was not just an accident.
Hisham Owamu says he was a regular customer at his market as recently as Sunday.
He seems very, very, very nice guy. I never suspected anything from him at all. I mean, he's very friendly.
It certainly seemed that way at Artan's graduation last year from a local community college. But this week, Artan's neighbor, Luann Carnahan, recalled seeing him with people she hadn't seen before and noticed some unusual behavior.
The last interaction my family had with him was on Thanksgiving Day, and he had a GoPro on his head, and he had made a comment about the people that he was going into that house with. If something was to happen to him, you know, the GoPro was his proof. In hindsight, you know, you sort of look back on that and are just like, what?
Now, CBS News has learned that Artan purchased the knives he used in the attack just hours before he carried it out. And while no direct ties to terrorist organizations have been discovered so far, federal authorities are increasingly confident, Nora, that he used the internet to help him inspire his actions.
All right, Dean Reynolds, thank you so much. In less than 2 months, Donald Trump will inherit America's war against ISIS. The U.S. is training and assisting Iraqi and Kurdish forces in the liberation of Mosul. Now, that is the last major city in Iraq that is controlled by ISIS. This operation is now 6 weeks old. Holly Williams surveyed the battlefield with the top general.
Lieutenant General Stephen Townsend served here in northern Iraq during the U.S. occupation 10 years ago.
What was the target?
And now he's back, the commander of the U.S. coalition against ISIS, visiting troops manning a battery of howitzers in the desert.
Here's the inside the city right here. Here's the east side of the city. There's
a new generation of Americans in Iraq, this time around aiding Iraqi troops who are doing most of the fighting on the front line.
How tough a battle is this?
This fight would challenge any army. This fight would challenge the United States Army.
But then he broke off our interview.
They're about to fire over there?
I think we might be about to
Should we just
fire.
have a look over there?
Because his men had ISIS in their sights. There are now around 6,000 U.S. troops in Iraq.
Man, that's motivational, isn't it?
Supporting over 40,000 Iraqi fighters in the battle for Mosul, an offensive criticized by President-elect Trump for its lack of secrecy.
Whatever happened to the element of surprise? Okay? We announced we're going after Mosul. I've been reading about going after Mosul now for about, how long is it, Hillary? 3 months?
Is a battle that size something that you can keep a secret?
No, I don't think so. It's hard to move 40,000 troops and all their tanks and trucks and artillery into position and it not be noticed by somebody. It's really hard to do that.
Donald Trump's stated solution to ISIS is to, quote, bomb the hell out of them. But at this command center where they launch airstrikes on ISIS, every strike must be approved by senior officers.
Hey, does it look like people leave? About center screen?
It can take minutes or several hours, and sometimes they're refused permission. Captain Matt Lyles explained why.
We need to get it right for us. We need to get it right for them.
You want to avoid killing civilians at all costs. Absolutely. You don't want to destroy a house if you don't need to.
Correct.
American air power is playing a decisive role in beating back the extremists. But the simple truth is there is no easy solution to ISIS. And Nora, the battle for Mosul will be long and deadly.
Holly Williams, thank you. There was emotional testimony today in Charleston, South Carolina, when former police officer Michael Slager took the stand in his own defense. He is charged with murdering Walter Scott, a man he had just pulled over for a broken taillight. Jerika Duncan is there.
Did you shoot Walter Scott?
I did.
Michael Slager's voice cracked at times as he described the events that led up to the death of Walter Scott 19 months ago.
That's the only thing he said, taser coming at me. I see that barrel. It's like this big, coming at me.
A day that began with this routine traffic stop and ended after a chase and scuffle in a burst of gunfire. It was captured on cell phone video by someone passing by.
I was tired.
Slager's argument is self-defense.
I was on a fight on the ground. Mr. Scott was coming after me with the taser twice. You know, my mind was like spaghetti.
Prosecutor Bruce Durant.
From watching the video, sir, do you concede that at the time you shot Mr. Scott and he did not have your taser?
Yes, after learning information now, I do.
One of the lingering questions is what Slager may have picked up and dropped near Scott's body.
I don't remember dropping the taser. I don't remember anything.
Well, you have a pretty clear recollection of what went on here. It seems like you're just not remembering the things that are bad for you.
We need justice for Walter.
Scott's brother Anthony says the video leaves no doubt.
To me, it's a man being shot in the back by a coward police officer.
Slager used his taser 14 times in 5 years. Now, the Scott family was in the courtroom as Slager testified. The family declined to comment. Nora, the jury starts deliberations tomorrow morning.
All right, Jerika, thank you. Coming up next on the CBS Evening News, Cuban dissidents hope for a new Cuba after Fidel Castro. 4 days after Fidel Castro's death, some who opposed the dictator are already dreaming of a better future for Cuba. Manuel Bojorquez in Havana spoke with one.
While thousands of Cubans mourned, Antonio Rodiles was being hassled outside his Havana home by a man he says was a government official, a warning not to use Fidel Castro's death to promote change.
When you found out Fidel Castro was dead, how did you react?
I was thinking that was the right moment for the death of this person.
Rodiles hosts an opposition talk show that is distributed on DVDs through an underground network. He says he was detained 50 times last year and in 2014 was beaten and jailed after opposing the U.S. deal to reopen relations with Cuba. He says it failed to address human rights abuses here and is hopeful President-elect Trump will change course.
You need to pressure the regime for that. You cannot give them the opportunity to decide if they are going to do or not.
You think Trump would do that?
I think so.
Not all Cubans feel that way. The society is slowly opening up, and interaction with the U.S. is generally welcome here. Economic opportunity could be the strongest catalyst for Cubans to turn the page from the Castro era.
He's part of the past. We need to pass over him. We need to pass over his name. We need to pass over his legacy, communist legacy.
But do you see a free election happening here, say, in your lifetime?
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Yeah, I'm optimistic.
That will not be easy, judging by this crowd. Nora, tens, perhaps hundreds of thousands of Cubans have gathered here at Revolution Square, joining heads of state for a massive tribute to their late leader.
Manuel Bojorquez, thank you. When we come back, pipeline protesters ignore the weather and orders to go home. Protesters near the Dakota Access Pipeline in North Dakota are ignoring orders to leave their camp despite bitter cold and snow. Michelle Miller is there and filed this a short time ago.
Nora, the conditions here are simply brutal. That's why the governor of North Dakota says he has issued a mandatory evacuation for the more than 5,000 people who are camped out here at the Ochoti-Sacoan camp. What we can tell you is some of the people we spoke with say they're not budging. The governor's order comes just days after the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, which is managing the site, set a December 5th deadline for the protesters to leave the area for a safer location. Nora, with that evacuation deadline just 6 days away, the Army Corps of Engineers and the Sheriff's Department here say they will not forcibly remove any of the people here from this camp, but as they like to be called, these water protectors, if they do stay, the Sheriff's Department says they stay at their own risk.
Incredible. Michelle Miller there. Thank you. Today, the world's oldest person celebrated her 117th birthday. Emma Marano, who lives in Italy, is believed to be the last person alive who was born in the 1800s. Get this, she eats few fruits or vegetables, but she says she has enjoyed 3 raw eggs and biscuits a day for 90 years, along with a glass of brandy. All right, next, out of this bucket came an ocean of good.
This portion of the CBS Evening News is sponsored by Pacific Life, helping generations of families achieve long-term financial security for over 145 years.
Today is Giving Tuesday, so it's fitting that today an icon of altruism was given a new home. Here's Jan Crawford.
It was a social media sensation. 17 million people are friends and co-workers, along with presidents, billionaires, and celebrities. All braving the Ice Bucket Challenge that raised more than $200 million to fight ALS. And it really got started with this, a blue plastic bucket Jeanette Sinertia used to mop her floors. She did the challenge for her husband, Anthony, who suffers from the degenerative disease.
That was the first documented connection between ALS and the ice bucket.
Bonnie Lilienfeld is curator of a new exhibit at the Smithsonian Museum of American History called Giving in America.
You look at this and you think, why would the Smithsonian collect a mop bucket? You know, it really helps us tell the story that, objects can really help us understand our history.
It's displayed next to an alms box from the 1800s that people would have used to raise money for charity.
And then we have the March of Dimes can, that someone would have marched around their community going door to door asking people to contribute to March of Dimes. That money that they collected then would go into a much bigger pool of money collected from their community, into a bigger pool, into a bigger pool. So in some ways it's not that much different from the Ice Bucket Challenge.
It shows that one contribution, when put together with so many,
Right.
can make a huge difference.
Right, it seems like the proverbial drop in a bucket to do it once, but when you do it, 17 million times, it really has an impact.
Drops in a bucket or from a bucket that become a deluge of good. Jan Crawford, CBS News, Washington.
And that is the CBS Evening News. For Scott Pelley, I'm Norah O'Donnell. I'll see you tomorrow on CBS This Morning. Good night.